Hi everyone, welcome back to the Freelance Life. This is Jen, and this week I'm doing something a little different. Instead of my normally scheduled vlog, I wanted to share my studio makeover. The quote that you saw before this intro is probably by far one of my favorite quotes, and it's a reminder of the journey that I've been on in life. That those who face great difficulties in life are often being prepared to do even greater things with their life. And while something like the studio makeover may seem trivial, to me it's a huge step. It was a huge step in focusing on my career and building my small business, and also a step in self-care. I am a penny pincher and a saver by nature, so I don't like to waste money, quote unquote, and I've often found myself talking myself out of getting things that might be necessary, whether it be for something like my workspace or just, even things like clothing for me, when I can be spending that money, on things that are important, like my kids. But when you come from a mindset of lack, I think it can be really hard to retrain your mind to the reality that it is okay to invest in yourself. And that's what this whole process has been for me. It was a very moving process over the last week and a half of working on the studio and creating something that I had kind of had envisioned for a really long time, but never dedicated the time, the energy, or the money to actually do it. But now that I'm working from home full time, I think it's something that's important. And I by no means want to push the idea of materialism or consumerism. I'm far from that. But I also want to push the idea that it is okay to invest in yourself. If you look at the footage that's coming up, probably that I'm showing you right now, it's a little embarrassing to think about what I was kind of sitting in. I was sitting in, not squalor, but I was in an unorganized space with things just kind of thrown about, and we were using our loft really as like a storage area, and I just kind of threw my workspace in there, and it felt overwhelming. It felt almost burdensome thinking about having to clean and fix the space. But the more I thought about it, the more I realized that investing in that area and investing in that space was actually investing in myself and investing in my business and investing in the opportunities that I see for myself and my family. So I want to take you through this whole journey, this whole experience that I had as I was reorganizing and recreating this space, basically kind of like out of nothing, to create something that was inspiring, that was calming, that was zen, I guess. I really like that idea of just feeling like I'm in a calm space that I can create in. And I hope you find it inspiring yourself, and I hope it reminds you that it is okay to invest in yourself. I have actually been saving and planning and trying to, organize my ideas for probably over a year now. It's really interesting to see this evolution as I've been working on concepting this idea for my studio space. And I have been using the space upstairs in our house. We have kind of like a loft area, and I've been basically using that as my office. I'm a little embarrassed to show this footage, but it is kind of like, I want to say, a storage area with a fold-out table thrown in for a desk, and I put all my stuff on top of it, and I had a few, organization pieces here and there that I had been collecting in hopes of really, making use of the space, but it just never happened. I think part of it was I was afraid, and the second part of it was I just couldn't, bite the bullet in terms of spending the money. But when it was all said and done, I really think about what I invested in. I invested in myself, and I really didn't have to spend that much. A lot of the stuff I found online, on Amazon and places like that, were relatively inexpensive. But I laugh because I've been having issues with my neck and my back, and I I couldn't quite figure out like why am I hurting so much? When I really thought about it, I've been sitting on an old wooden IKEA chair with no support and no cushions. And I guess it makes sense that I was uncomfortable. So one of the first things I wanted to invest in was a chair and a desk. So I did that, and as I really started planning things out, I was like, okay, when I look at all the pieces in this room, I have a lot of stuff thrown in that are mismatched and hodgepodged. Things from Dwight, things from me, that didn't all really go together. So I wanted to find a cohesive theme. So I went with this kind of like clean bamboo and white and green with pops of blue throughout my color scheme for my inspiration. The first thing that I had to do really was go through the process of cleaning up the loft. We had so much stuff. I ended up going through all of the books that I had, and mind you, I'm a teacher. I use a lot of them for the university, so I have lots of textbooks that I needed to keep, but then I've also collected reference books throughout the years for marketing and design and graphic design and the fashion industry and whatnot, and art-related books. So I really went through and I kind of thinned out my collection, figured out what I wanted to donate, what I didn't want to keep, what I could take to like half-price books and try to sell. And the next step was really just uncluttering or decluttering, cleaning up the space, throwing away things that I didn't need or that I didn't want or just I was holding on to for no reason. I think there's a clip in here where I stop and talk to the camera. As I was filming me decluttering, I found pattern pieces from like 15 years ago or 20 years ago when I was in undergrad school for fashion design, and they were like the first patterns I ever learned to make. And I just kind of laugh. I'm like, why did I keep these for all this time? I know how to make new patterns. Why do I still have this? This isn't even, cut to my size anymore. But I think I kept a lot of stuff out of just like emotional connection. But this declutter really helped to kind of release those things that were no longer serving me, were holding, bogging me down. And so I went through that whole process, and then the next step was painting, just cleaning the walls and painting. We had that same color since we've moved in 8 years ago. It's just kind of this like beigey, yellowy kind of color that wasn't all too pretty, and I noticed it always made my settings in my camera off, so everything would always look yellow and I have to color grade like crazy to fix it. So we painted, and the girls helped. It was probably like the best Mother's Day gift they could have done was to help us get the room prepared and painted. And then once we went through that process, we had to then remove things out of the room that wasn't necessary, and we also had to build other pieces of furniture. So I'd gotten 2 small cabinets to help with storage, some knockoff IKEA looking pieces, but that were a little bit smaller that actually fit nicely underneath my new desk. And I just had to start putting things together. Once we went through that whole process, then we were able to start like getting things into the room. We were then able to start putting things on the wall and putting books away. That was probably the biggest feat of it all, was getting all of the books out of the bookshelves into the new bookshelves. That's probably, I want to say, like the most valuable things that I have in my office are my books, the knowledge that I've gained, the inspiration that they give me. And I know that might seem odd to some, but I'm a huge bookworm, and I love reading. I love learning. As a teacher, I'm a firm believer in being a lifelong learner. That's probably one of my favorite areas in the office now. I then had to go back through and organize all of my supplies, shipping supplies, sticker making supplies, my art supplies, my easel, figuring a place out for everything. That was the big thing, is a lot of the stuff I had was just kind of thrown around, and I wanted to make sure that I was taking care of the items that I had. So I wanted, a place for everything and everything in its place. So even small things like getting coat hooks for my lighting and my tripod equipment for the camera, or a place to hang my book bag, or organization areas for different tools that I use day in and day out, a place for my sewing machines, a place for, pens and pencils, and a place for me to, add inspiration. So if you look at my desk area, you'll see I have areas for my working station with my big monitor where I edit videos, my Huion tablet that I use for larger scale digital illustration pieces, my iPad, and then behind that I have some inspiration on shelves, just like a fun little marquee light to remind me to create, every day, and plants just to add greenery to the space and life. And then next to that, to the right, I have my inspiration board. I ended up turning it from a landscape style to portrait so that it's up and down so that it fits the space nicely. And then behind me, because I do film classes for Skillshare and I film these studio vlogs and different videos here on YouTube, I wanted to have a backdrop that kind of gave off a calming vibe. I went with these gorgeous blue and white pieces, and I added some wall hangings that were just really natural feeling, and I just wanted something that felt calm behind me, and that kind of sparked this really spa-like feeling. That's kind of what I was trying to go for in my office space. I wanted it to feel open, and I also wanted it to feel calming, but I also wanted it to be an inviting and inspiring space. I think I did a relatively good job with that. I ended up moving my desk from the area next to the railing to the opposite end of the room, closer to the window, just because it made more sense in terms of me filming. I like to use a lot of the natural light, and I also just like having the light on me. It's just something that I feel like it just adds the pep to my step. I hope you enjoyed this studio tour and the makeover reveal. If you want to see more photos of the interior shots of my completed studio, you can visit me on Instagram at Bella Sophia Creative. I'll leave the link down in the description box below. Thank you so much for watching, and I will catch you in the next video. Talk to you guys soon. Bye.